Welcome to the Westcott Crochet channel and welcome to my Newsboy Baker's Boy hat recreation. I wanted to see if I could remake my old hat in crochet and it turned out I absolutely can. Here we have the OG hat, still holding up but looking a little bit faded now. The recreation is mostly straightforward in the construction, save for a fiddly bit to form a rigid brim. There are no inserts here, it's all just yarn. Perhaps watch the video all the way through to check out the whole process before you crack on and have a go. And this is my remake. Here on the blue version, I used a medium weight yarn. It recommended a 5mm hook and I used a 4mm hook. And here we have it again in the grey-black lightweight yarn. This yarn recommended a 4mm hook and I sized down to a 3mm hook. In addition to these two, I also tested the pattern yet further by creating a teeny tiny version. And here we have Craig, who is loving his new headgear. This was made using a lightweight yarn which recommended a 3mm hook and I sized down to a 2mm hook. So as you can see, you can use whatever yarn you like, just be sure to drop down 1mm on the recommended hook size and keep your stitches nice and tight for a more rigid fabric. As usual, thumbs up if you like this one, subscribe if you haven't already, and follow on Instagram if you want to. And now let's crack on. I'm going to start with a magic ring, but if you prefer, you can start with a slip knot, a chain of 1, 2, 3, 4, and slip stitch into chain number 1 to form a little loop. And then all your stitches will be squished into that little loop there in the centre. As I said, I'm going to start with a magic ring. So I take my yarn, grasp it between my thumb and middle finger, wrap it round the back of my fingers, 3 fingers there to form a cross, up through the front, grab onto the back, pull it through, twist it, back in through the back and pull that through. And now all my stitches will be worked into this centre spot here. So as well as working my stitches into this little circle here, I've also got to work around this tail end, otherwise it's not a magic ring, that's what makes it magic. I've already effectively chained 1 when I closed off the ring. I'm going to chain a second one, making 2 in total, and then I'm going to yarn over into the ring, pull back a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops for a half double crochet. I'm going to work 12 half double crochets in total into that loop. That chain 2 doesn't count, so that's 2 half doubles, and I'm going to go for 12 in total. I have 12 half double crochets. I might have to fidget around a bit just to get them all in. I'm going to pull on my tail and close off the ring. I'm not going to close it totally because I just need a bit of room to fidget with at the moment, but eventually pull that as tight as you can and close this hole completely, and then weave in the end to stop it from unravelling. Okay, just coming a little bit closer so that you can see what I'm doing next. I'm going to create an invisible seam on the front. It creates a seam on the back which works diagonally upwards, but nothing on the front that's hugely visible. So to do that, here I have my, if I can just open that up, chain 2. Here I have my first half double crochet, and I'm going to slip stitch into the second half double crochet and pull that in. Now I've effectively taken out 1 stitch top to work into. You can still see the post, but the top is at the back here hidden, so I won't be working into that on the next round. But what I will be doing is I'll be working into this slip stitch to make up for it. So to start with, I'm on the wrong side. I need to put my hook through this stitch that I've just slip stitched into, grab onto this loop here and yank it through. And there I'm on the right side. And as I say, that slip stitch is going to be my last stitch when I complete the next round. So to start with, I'm going to chain 1, 2, and into that same stitch there, I'm going to work 2 half double crochets. And I'm going to work 2 half double crochets in every stitch, all the way around, including that last little slip stitch, and I should have 24 in total. Here I've worked 22 of my 24 stitches. I'm at the end here and just popping back this chain 2, you can see the slip stitch. You might just have to pull it apart a bit. I'm going to put 2 final stitches into that slip stitch from the end of the last row. So now I've got 24, and again, chain 1, chain 2, first half double crochet, and here is the second one, and I'm going to slip stitch into that. That slip stitch now becomes my last stitch, so don't pull it too tight. Again, I'm on the wrong side, out with my hook, in through that stitch I've just slip stitched into. Grab hold of this any way you can and just yoink it through to the back. I'm ready to start again. So I've just pulled my magic ring all the way closed, and I'm going to start the next round with a chain 2. And into that first stitch, I'm going to work 2 half double crochets. Into the next one, I'm going to work 1 on its own. 1 after that, 2. And that's what I'm going to do the whole way around. So 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, all the way around. Okay, I'm just towards the end of the round there. I'm adding 12 stitches on every round. So we started with 12 and then had 24. I should end with 36. I've currently got 33, and I've got what appears to be just the 1 stitch left to work, but that's not the case because obviously I'm going to sneak an extra one into that slip stitch. So I need to work 2 into the next. I've just worked 1 on its own, 2 into the next one, and then just yoink this apart to find that slip stitch and pop the last one in there. And that takes me to 36. One more time. Here is my chain 2, first half double crochet, second half double crochet, slip stitch into there. And then, to get myself to the right side, in through the stitch, I grab hold of this loop and pull it through any way you can. And we're ready to start the next round. If I just show you the back now, all those chain 2s are just sort of bulging out at the back here, but that's okay because that's the inside of your hat and you're not going to see it. The important thing is that you can't see the seam on this side, and it looks nice and neat. So on to the next round. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth round. And I'm going to chain 2 as usual. I'm going to start with 2 in the first stitch. Now last time I skipped 1 stitch in between doubling up. This time I'm going to skip 2 in between doubling up, not skip them, but just work single stitches. So 1 and 2 alone, then in the third I'm going to put 2, and then I'll do 1 and 2 alone. Into the third I'll put 2, and I should end at this end with 2. So 1 in what is the actual real last stitch, and then 1 into the slip stitch to close. So after that round 1, 2, 3, 4, I've got 48 stitches going all the way around. Do count them in case you go off a bit, because you won't know where it happened and it'll all get a bit misshapen. We're trying to create a nice circle. So in the next round I'm going to work in the same way as I've been doing, adding an extra individual half double crochet between doubling up on them. So if you remember, the first round was 12 stitches, then I worked 2 in each stitch, then I worked 2 in the first stitch, 1 in the next, 2 in the next, 1 in the next, 2 in the next, all the way around, and then it was 2 in the first, and then you do 2 on their own, 2 in the next, 2 on their own, 2 in the next, 2 on their own, and on the next round it was 2 to start as usual, and then 3 on their own, and then 2 together, and 3 on their own, and 2 together. And you always want to end with the stitches that are on their own. So for this one, 3 on their own. On the next one, it'll be 4 on their own, and the next one 5, and so on. So every time, just add an extra half double crochet in between doubling up, and you should add 12 stitches every round. And keep doing that until you get to within 1 round of the size that you need. We need to hold that round back just because, as you'll notice, it's getting bigger. It will start to look a little angular around the edges, and I just need to smooth that off on the last round. So what size of circle do you need? Measure around the head and divide that measurement by 3.14. The answer will provide the diameter, shown above, of the circle that you need to create. So I've worked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds for me, and that gets me to within 1 round of where I need to be. Obviously, depending on side of yarn, side of hook, you're going to get a different result. But for me, I'm 1 round off where I need to be. As I mentioned, you can see the points now where I've been increasing. As it's got a bit bigger, it gets a bit angular. So I'm just going to flatten that out on the next row. If you want angular, then go ahead and just work the next round as you have been doing. As I say, I'm going to flatten mine out. I'm on for a gap of 7 between increases next. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start my round with 1 half double crochet on its own, rather than doubling up there. And then I'm going to put 1 half double crochet, into the next 2. So I've got 3 in total. So that's 3 of my 7 gap. I'm going to finish up with the other 4 on the other side. So then I'm going to put my double up here, 2 half double crochets, and then I'll do 7, and then double up on the next one, and then 7, double up on the next one, and as I say, all the way around, and I'll finish up with 4 to complete my 7. So that's the last round there, and my circle is complete. As you can see, it's smoothed out the edges there with that last round. You might find that the advice has been to stagger your increases on each round so they're not in the same place. But I find just fixing on that last round works just as well. So that's what I do. So in total I have 9 rounds, and that is 108 stitches. Obviously your result at this point will differ again depending on the yarn you've chosen and the hook size that you've used. But just as long as you've got your measurement and your stitch count is multiples of 12, it should be, to get the increases where they were supposed to be. For this next row, I'm done with increases now, so it's just going to be 1 stitch in each. But what I am going to do is I'm going to create a ridge around the top edge. And to do that, I'm going to be working around the posts of my stitches as opposed to the tops. So you've got the tops as normal. And I'm going to be working around the posts. I'm going to do what's called a back post stitch, which means coming up from the back, across the front of this post, and then down the other side. And you're pushing the post backwards while you work your stitch. So to begin, I'm going to chain 2 as normal and yarn over for the stitch. This first one's a bit picky because the chain 2 is right next to it. So I'm just going to pick that open and get in to the side of that first stitch, across the front, down the other side. Yarn over, pull my loop back, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops as standard for a half double crochet. So next one, yarn over, next post, up one side, across and down the other, pull back my loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. And I'm just going to work that way the whole way around. Just 1 stitch around each post. I'll show you in a minute what that does. And that's just creating a little ridge on the top here, because all the tops of these stitches are then sort of shoved forward. So that's all the way around with the back post half double crochet. I have the same stitch count as I had before, 108. I've gone around every post. Just be careful where you've done your double stitches on the row prior that you go around each post individually, so you might have to just pull them apart a little bit to get each one. So if you can see, this has created a nice little sort of a seam all the way around the edge. It's a ridge without actually having to work a seam. So the next section I have to do just goes straight down from here. This is the underside. As you can see, there's my seam going on the inside. We're just going to work round and round and round to create a straight up section. Let's go back to my original hat. That's, if you can see, I'll just zoom out actually. So here we have the top just worked. I've got a little ridge recreating this seam here, and then I'm going to do the side section that comes straight down. Now this in its entirety, when you put this on your head, it needs to be just above your eyebrows. So just work out where that needs to be. I'm going to work this first section here, then I'm going to change my stitch pattern for this last bit here. Then if you can see on this black yarn, this prototype that I worked my ridge as I've just done here, then I worked this next section straight down, then I've added another ridge before working this last section of the main part of the hat in a different stitch pattern. So after that back post stitch row, I'm going to close off this round as I've been doing the whole time. So first stitch, second stitch, close it off with a slip stitch, pull my loop through to the right side, and off I go again on another row, and this time just using the tops of the stitches, half double crochet, 1 stitch in each all the way around, and then just keep working around and round until I've got that first section as I just showed you a moment ago. So 1 in the first stitch and 1 all the way around, and closing exactly the same way and starting in exactly the same way each time. No change now. I've worked 7 rows on this first section of upright. I'm starting with the back post half double crochet row, which created the ridge. I worked 5 regular half double crochet rows and finished up with the final back post half double crochet row to create a second ridge. And you get this sort of bowl shape. This bowl shape doesn't actually sort of come together until the last couple of rows. So if you've done like 3 or 4 rows and it's all flopping about, then don't panic, because suddenly it comes together and it starts forming shape. Just to show how it looks at this stage, this is on Craig, obviously, still a bit roomy, but that's okay. So yours will probably be the same at this point. The next stage comes where I add the bottom band and lose some of these stitches. So this next section forms the band that goes around the base of the main part of the hat, this bit here, if you can see. And I've opted to do this in a Tunisian crochet stitch, and it's literally called Tunisian Simple Stitch. Probably because it's simple to work, I'm not sure. It's just the straightforward, the basis of most of the stitches that are worked in Tunisian crochet. I chose this type of stitch because it doesn't stretch sideways, and that's what you want from the bottom band. You don't want it to stretch and go all baggy. And whilst I'm working this first row, that also determines the full height of this band. The full height of this section, this overall section, will be this, the Tunisian simple stitch, plus a half double crochet row, and then a back post single crochet row. So that's just to bear in mind. There's another half double crochet row and a back post single crochet row to go on to the end, just to finish off the entire brim. So for me, I'm going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4. I've finished the round as normal, slip stitch, pull through, just as I have done every other row, and now I've just chained out 4, and that's going to be the height of this next band. So for Tunisian simple stitch, turn over my chain so that my back bumps are exposed. So these are the top loops, sorry, and we have these little bumps on the back, singular. The first back bump, I have a loop on my hook, and that's already worked. That's how this works with Tunisian stitch. The first stitch is already worked. So we go to the second, insert my hook and pull back a loop. Onto the third, same thing, and onto the fourth, same thing. So I've got 4 loops now. I had 4 chains, I've got 4 loops. So whilst I'm working this band, I'm going to attach it at the same time around the outer edge. So I go to my first stitch on the outer edge and I pull back loop number 5. So I've now got 5 loops on the hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I've got 1 loop left and that stays where it is. That's the first loop worked for the next row. And for this next row and all the rows after here, we work into these side bars. So if you can see, there, 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 and there. First side bar, I've already got a loop, so that's already worked. Into the second, pull back a loop. Third, pull back a loop. Fourth, pull back a loop. That's my 4 stitches that I started with. Number 5, I take from the brim or the current brim and pull back number 5. And then it's pull through 2 all the way back to complete the row until you have one left, which stays on the hook. And again, that's number 1 worked to start with. So here we go. Number 1's already worked. In through bar number 2, side bar number 3, side bar number 4, and number 5 comes from the brim, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And you can count your rows by counting these upright posts. So I've got 1, 2, and 3. The upright posts that are still sort of gappy for the next round. That's 3 rows worked. Whilst I'm working this section, I'm also going to reduce by 12 stitches all the way around. So for me, I had 108 stitches. I'm wanting to lose 12 of those. So 108, if I divide 12 into that, it's 9. So I need to make that 9th stitch disappear. So I'm going to work 7 rows here. And then on row 8, I will work row 8 and 9 together, the stitches along this upright section, this edge section. I'm going to get to that point. I'm going to work my 7 rows, and I'll come back to work the 8th. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows, and I'm going to now get rid of one of these stitches around the edge with this 8th row. So I'm going to get rid of stitch number 9. So in we go again, side bars. 1, 2, and 3 for me, making 4 in total, which is my start chain. And I'm going to pick up 1, and then I'm going to pick up 2 from this edge row. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull through 3. And that gets rid of that extra stitch. And then it's just 2, 2, 2 all the way back. So the next row is a normal row, 1, 2, and 3 loops, making 4 in total. Onto the next stitch up this side extra section here, and pull through just 1 this time. And then I'm 2, 2, 2, 2 all the way back. So again, I'll work another 6, adding to this one, making 7 standard rows. And then the 8th, I'll work the 2 together again. I'll just come back and do that one more time. So here I've worked another 7 rows as standard, and I'm on to row 8, where I'll pick up the extra stitch. So 1, 2, 3 to go with my initial stitch, so that's 4. In through the side here to pick up 1, in through the side to pick up a second, yarn over, pull through 3, and then 2, 2, 2 all the way back. And I'll just do that the whole way around. So I'll follow up with 7 standard rows, and then work 2 of these stitches together on each 8th row. I've worked my Tunisian simple stitch rows all the way around. I had 108 stitches. I ditched 12 of those, so I've got 96. So I had 96 rows. I just need to close off the end of this now. If you see that the end of the row here is still gappy from the last row that I worked. To close off the Tunisian simple stitch, and all of them actually, the Tunisian stitches, you pull up your loop and you pull the loop right through and slip stitch it closed. So that's 1. Well, it's 2 because the first one's already done. 3 and 4. And those loops are now sealed up. I'm just going to slip stitch into the base here. I'm going to leave a bit of a tail, and I'm going to cut my yarn and just pull that through. And then just going to thread a yarn needle. And I'll just sew these 2 sides together. So here we go, up one side, up the other side, just going stitch for stitch. Back to the other side, and across again. I've just got 4 stitches to work, so real quick. And I'll just go through the end here. And again at the other side. And we're all seamed up. So here we have Craig's hat complete with bottom band now. If he had eyebrows, that's where they would be. So it's exactly in the right spot. Okay, so I've got my initial hat shape and I'm going to add the peak at the front. For me, I've got 96 stitches going all the way around, and my peak is going to be about a third of that. So for me, as I say, 96, a third of which is 32. So from that back seam, I've counted 32, added a marker into number 33. From that marker, I've counted 32, added a marker into the 32nd, and then I've got 32 left round to the other side. So between these 2 points, including these 2 points, is going to be my peak, the cap. Starting from the stitch next to the marked stitch, this is the front bit where the peak's going to go. One after that, I'm going to reattach my yarn. On with a slip knot, pull it through, and I'm going to chain 1, 2 to work up my yarn. And I'm just going to work half double crochets all the way around from this marker until the next one, until the stitch, just the last stitch is the one prior to the marked stitch, so up to and including that last stitch. I've just zoomed in. I'm going to start right from that stitch where I've just joined and just half double crochet. Whoops, I'm going to try all the way around. And I'll stop here. Okay, that's half double crochets all the way around the back section. I'm now between the 2 pins at the front here, the 2 markers at the front. And from here, I'm going to work front post, single crochet. So going around the post again, this time going down one side, around the back, and up the other side. And then just working, I'll just take that out. And then just work a single crochet. So next stitch, down one side, up the other, and single crochet. And I'm going to work that the whole way across to the other marker, including that post there. 3 stitches in, I've just marked the first stitch just so I know where to stop on the return trip. So that's the front post stitches, single crochet stitches worked across this front section here. Obviously it's a little bit fiddlier than working the posts on the half double crochets, because this is just the side of the Tunisian simple stitch rows. So it's effectively like a single crochet, but just go down one side, up the other side, and you're all good. Right. So here I'm just at this half double crochet that I started the round with. There's a chain 2 and then there's a half double crochet. I'm just going to, for the purposes of anchoring off, slip stitch into that half double crochet, just into the side of it. And then I'm going to turn around. I'm going to ignore that slip stitch and ignore the stitch that I've just worked as well, the first stitch. And I'm going to go into the next one and slip stitch. And I'm going to slip stitch my way all the way across the stitches that I've just worked. Just loosely, don't pull your slip stitches really tight, because we're going to pucker the work if we do that. So just lightly, loosely slip stitch your way across. Here I'm right way across to the other side. I've got 2 stitches left I'll just take that out now. And I'm just going to slip stitch those two together. I'm going to turn around, chain one, and I'm going to skip over that first stitch, and then I'm going to single crochet, but I'm not single crocheting it into the slip stitch loops there, the top two loops. I'm going to dig a little deeper and go into the row prior to that, so just underneath. Let me just zoom in a little more. So there's my slip stitch on top there, and I'm going underneath the whole bulk of that to make a big thick, it makes the row thicker. If you can just see, I'm going in through the middle of the stitches and single crochet. Again, just poke into there. I mean, you probably see this better when you're doing it than you can see it on camera. But into here, 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 all the way across. And at the end, I'll work two together. At the end here, I'm just going to work two together. So in through one, pull back a loop, in through the next, pull back a loop, yarn over and pull through all three loops. And what that's done is basically I've worked the single crochet row around the slip stitch row, and it creates a nice thick fabric for your peak so that it stands out. Next I'm going to turn, no chain this time. I'm going to skip the stitch that I've just worked, and I'm going to slip stitch my way back again to the other side. So at the end of that row, I again worked the two slip stitches together. I'm going to chain one to turn. And for this row, I'm going to work the middle third, 2 stitches in each. So count up how many stitches you have, divide it roughly by 3, and we'll work the same thing again, digging deep for the single crochet. So missing that stitch in through the next one, for however many you need on this side. When you get to your center third, 2 stitches in each, and then 1 stitch in each to finish at the end. So here I am, I've done the single crochets to the middle third, doubled up across that middle third, so 2 in each stitch, and then 1 in each after that to finish off. And then I'm going to turn without chaining, skip the first stitch, and slip stitch my way back across as always, 1 in each. Make sure you get 1 in each of your doubled up stitches. At the end, 2 together. Alright, all the way across with the slip stitch row. These are the only increases that need to happen. So from here, 1 stitch in each except for the edges, which I'm tapering up by either skipping the first stitch on this side and working the last stitches together, 2 together on the other side. So I've chained 1 to turn, and again I'm going underneath the slip stitch row and into the single crochet row prior to it, and work my way. So I'm missing the first one, starting from the second one, all the way across to the other end, and I'll work 2 together at the other end. And I'm just 1 stitch in each now. So at the end of the single crochet row, worked 2 together, turned around, skip the first stitch, slip stitch all the way back, last 2 slip stitch together, and from here I'm just going to repeat those 2 rows until this section is as big as I need it to be, minus a half double crochet row which I'm going to add on at the end, but I'll come back before I do that and do it on camera. As it happened, that last single crochet row was enough for me, and I'm stopping there, bar the last row which I'm about to put on. So this is what it looks like, if you can see, with a little peek at the front there. So I'm going to now Oops, that was a single crochet row that I ended up on there. I'm just going to slip stitch down this slope. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochet rows, and I'm going to work 4 slip stitches. And there aren't any real sort of stitches to work into. It's a bit of a hot mess down the slope. So I'm going to chain 1 to turn there, and I'm going to just slip stitch anywhere I can, just making sure that I grab a couple of loops each time I do. And that's for the first row, into the second row, one for the third row, and one for the last row. Zoomed in here, there are my 4 slip stitches down on the end of every row that I've got for this little peak section here. And now I'm just going to go back to these half double crochets here, and I'm just going to slip stitch into the top of there, and that effectively builds up my yarn, because I'm going to work half double crochets around this brim. So straight away I'm going to turn around, ignore that one because that was the slip stitch I just worked. I'm going to half double crochet up these 4 slip stitches the side of the slope here, up the side of the brim. It's tough to get into that one. And then I'm going to carry on up the front, over the top, and just work half double crochets all over this brim edge. So I've gone all across the top, the front edge there, and I'm now at the slope section on the other side. And again, I'm just going to pick my way, as I did with the slip stitches, and put a half double crochet at the end of each row. Just trying to pick up a couple of loops each time I do so. So that was the first row, second row, oops, just force your way through, row 3, oh, you've got one loop there, let's try again, a bit firmer hold, and row 4, somewhere in there, drive your way through. There we go. So here I'm just going to slip stitch again on across to the other side. Okay, I'm going to chain 1, turn around, and I'm going to work all the way around the brim, all the way around this bottom edge with a single crochet row. So I've chained 1, and I'm going to work a back post single crochet, 1 around each post. And that's going to create a ridge all the way around the edge. So I've gone all the way around with my back loop single crochet row, and as you can see, it creates the ridge all the way around and just ties it in together, the brim and the rest of the hat. I worked a back loop single crochet row because I was working from the front or the top side of my hat. Had I been working from the other side, I would have worked a front loop single crochet, and that creates the same effect as I've got here, but obviously working from a different side. Back round at the start, to finish this off neatly, I'm going to slip stitch into the start. I've cut my yarn and left a tail end. I'm just going to pull that through that last stitch, but don't pull it tight. Just pull it through and thread it onto a yarn needle. So once you've got your yarn threaded through your needle, you've got your last loop there, and the yarn is coming right up the centre of that last stitch. I'm going to go in over this stitch that's just beneath it. The next one, I'm going to go around with my loop here, just pulling that in, and then back down into that first stitch that I was just coming out of. And that makes like an invisible seam there. And from here I can just weave that in and weave it away out the back. So with that we have a finished hat. You might want to just manipulate it into shape a little bit because obviously there's a lot of squishing involved whilst you're actually making it. The last thing I'm going to do is just add a little band across the front, same as my original hat, which also had a little button on either side. For the buttons, I just went back to row 1 of the hat and worked a magic circle, chain 2, and work half double crochets into the magic ring. And this time I did 16 instead of 12 to make sure it's nice and full. And then I'll just show you on this other one that I have not yet finished. Thread the end through a yarn needle, and then I'm just going to work it up into the back here. So I'm going to take the chain 2 and just pin that whilst I'm doing so that gets it out of the way. Pull that nice and tight. I want this end to come out opposite this end. I'm just going to feed that through into there. And then I'm just going to tie the 2 ends to secure them just in a basic knot. And there's my little button, and I'll use these ends to secure both the button and the little band that I'm going to make in a second. For my band I worked a strip of Tunisian crochet as I did for the bottom band of the hat. You could just go with single crochet, a few rows of, but I did it this way. So for me, I chained 1, 2, 3 and 4. First loop is already on my hook, so I skip the back loop number 1, pick up back loop number 2, number 3 and number 4, and I've got 4 loops on the hook. This time I don't attach to any edge, I need to work an edge onto this strip. So to work an edge with the Tunisian crochet simple stitch, you chain 1 first, so just go through 1 loop and then yarn over, go through 2, 2 and 2 all the way back home. And as you see, we've got the upright posts here to go into for the next row. So into those, 1, 2. At the end, you've got this post here, but you also want to just turn onto the side and pick up the back one just behind it as well to create a nice edge and pull that through. So again, chain 1 at the end and pull through 1 loop, and then 2, 2, 2. That's row 2. Just do 1 more, pull up, and at the end, don't forget to go through 2 loops. So the one that's in front and the one just behind it. Pull through 1, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. I'm going to keep working rows. My brim was 32 stitches, I believe. So I'm going to work 36 just to get a little bit overlap on the brim. So it wants to go across the brim and overlap a little bit on either side. So I'm going to work about 36 rows and I'll come back. Here are my 36 rows. It's my little strap here. I'm just going to show you how to sign off again on this Tunisian crochet simple stitch, because obviously the loops are still open after that last row. So we just pull up a loop and pull the loop through the working loop. Pull up a loop and pull it through. Last one, go through the 2 loops and pull it through. There's chain 1, pull that tight and secure it, cut my yarn, whip that through and weave in the 2 ends. So I'm actually going to attach my strap off camera because it's a bit fiddly and you won't be able to see what I'm doing. But simply all I'm doing is you find the centre of your strap and line it up with the centre of your brim. And I'm just going to attach it at either end, as I mentioned, with these little buttons. And I'll just thread this through a yarn needle and pull it all the way through from front to back and then just secure it in the back. So it's as simple as that, but it's just a bit of needlework that you can't really see what I'm doing on film, so it's going to look a bit pointless to film. And again, I'll just do the same thing on the other side. So it's literally just secured at these 2 points, and then I'm all done. So here's Craig's tiny hat, all finished. For the buttons, I didn't do the half double crochets. It was too much, it was a bit overwhelming. So I did the single crochet into the magic ring and just 12 instead of 16. And that's just a much better size. And here we have the original hat along with the 2 completed copies.